Hello and welcome to Sit Down with the Chief. We're here with editor Richard Steier, who's going to talk about a report in the New York Post that several cops from the 60th precinct showed up at the hospital where a woman who charged that two narcotics detectives had raped her and asked some unusual questions. Richard?
Well, basically, this is a story that began back in mid-September. A car stop was executed by two detectives. They pulled over the car, was being driven by an 18-year-old woman, had a couple of male passengers in the car. The cops ultimately ordered her to come with them, get in their van, told the two men who had been with her to pick her up in a few hours. That sounds strange enough, but in any event, according to the woman, the cops took her to a secluded area where they forced her to perform oral sex on both of them, and one of them had more conventional sex with her as well. According to her account, she was handcuffed at the time that this was happening. Ultimately, she was released. She went to Maimonides Medical Center to be examined, and while she was there, rape kit was performed. DNA from both the cops came back. The cops were ultimately charged with rape. Their defense was that it was consensual sex. Now, the fact that they could make that claim is itself somewhat outrageous, inasmuch as by her account she was handcuffed. There doesn't seem to be much dispute that she was in their custody. If you did this as a correction officer, you would automatically be charged with rape on the notion that it's a prisoner in your custody and they can't consent to sex by the very nature of their imprisonment. It would seem like the law ought to be the same for cops as it is for correction officers. Hopefully the legislature will correct that as quickly as possible once they go back into session in January. But in any event, another shoe dropped last week when the lawyer for the woman said that after she went to Maimonides Hospital and Maimonides notified the 60th precinct about it, 9 cops responded. Now, normally for 9 cops to respond from a single precinct, you'd expect a terrorist attack or something like that, not a rape, even though the people who were being charged with it were detectives. According to the woman's attorney, at least one of them was badgering the young woman, asking how she knew that these were actually cops, and basically at one point speaking to her in Russian in an attempt to dissuade her from bringing a complaint. Why these cops would have taken any interest at all if they didn't believe that there were cops involved isn't clear. But the NYPD last week said that it is now investigating, that it has assigned that aspect of the case to the Internal Affairs Bureau. It would seem as well that if the claim by the lawyer checks out, that the Brooklyn District Attorney, Eric Gonzalez, should be looking to examine what the cops did there and whether it rises to the level of trying to intimidate a victim and witness in this particular case. It's a black eye for the NYPD any way you look at it. The 2 cops who were charged have already resigned rather than submit to a departmental trial. They're enough of a disgrace, but there's something chilling about the 9 other cops responding and what that says about operations in that particular precinct.
Thank you, Richard Steier, and thank you for watching Sit Down with the Chief.